Upstate Medical University in Syracuse, New York invites you to be the informed patient with the podcast that features experts from Central New York's only academic medical center. I'm your host, Amber Smith. Today we'll learn about fluoride with Dr. Patrick Smith. He's Division Chief of Dental Surgery at Upstate. Welcome back to the Informed Patient, Dr. Smith.
Hey, Amber, thanks for having me back again.
So what exactly is fluoride?
Well, fluoride can be a lot of things, but in its essential form, it's a mineral. It's a mineral found commonly in water, in soil, plants, and actually in various food products. And really, it's been crucial in the dental health arena for almost over a century now. It's something we oftentimes take for granted.
So it's naturally occurring. It's a mineral.
It is, and that's actually how it was discovered. Early in the 20th century, researchers observed a reduced tooth decay in areas where there was naturally fluoridated water. This was really out in the West where this first came to light. Researchers at the time noted what we talk about as dental fluorosis, and that's just white spots that can naturally occur on teeth. But again, this can happen more routinely where you have areas of higher fluoride content. And so it was noted that the population in that area overall had fewer caries or cavities as a result. And it was discovered, again, through scientific measures, that this was a benefit. And so that spawned the age of fluoridation. In fact, historically, I think it was 1945, Grand Rapids, Michigan was the first city to initiate fluoridation of its water supply. And then from there, it really spread across the U.S. and ultimately, globally, it became a demonstrated significant cavity reduction measure that a lot of countries have adopted.
Is it a liquid or a powder? What does fluoride look like in its natural state?
It's microscopic. It's almost elemental, if you will. We refer to fluoride as sodium fluoride oftentimes in the dental arena. It's in a lot of products, but in essence, it can come as a solid or a liquid. As an additive, you'll find that pediatric population, if they don't have supplemental fluoride in their water systems, it can be given to them as a tablet through a pharmacy, their primary physician or their pediatrician may augment their vitamins, if you will, with a fluoride supplement if they're on well water or don't have access to water systems. But again, that is really a regional issue in that regard. But for the most part, you'll find it added into a lot of different products. And because it is versatile in its approach, whether you have it as a liquid or as in a paste, it has found its presence in a lot of our products that are accessible to almost all Americans.
But it started out just people made the association that there was a lot of fluoride in the water in an area, and then people were seeing the white spots on their teeth because there was so much fluoride.
Correct. And I think they called it Colorado brown stain because it was so focused and concentrated. It was notable that people of that region had different colorations of their teeth. And it was also noted that overall they had a very low caries index. So, of course, researchers and dentists got involved to understand better the reasoning behind this and discovered that the higher concentration of fluoride in the water was the actual reason for all this.
Now, when we talk about fluoride reducing cavities, does that apply just to children or adults as well?
There are various age ranges that we look at when we talk about adding fluoride to the regimen. For children, it's really important that they get exposure to fluoride at a very early age. And in fact, I would almost say gestational, that the mother has access to fluoridated water systems, for example. Fluoride inherently is incorporated into the tooth structure, and it needs to happen at a very early age as infants are developing their first set of teeth. That fluoride is very important in getting incorporated into the matrix of the actual tooth structure itself. So fluoride, in essence, kind of works with the calcium. We all think about calcium, strong teeth and bones. That's true. But fluoride enhances that strength. And that's one of the reasons it's so important to get it at an early age. For children, you want that fluoride ion, if you will, incorporated into the enamel. Enamel is the outer part of our tooth. That's what we talk about so much. You'll see that in the toothpaste commercials or in the fluoride rinse commercials, that strengthens the enamel of your teeth. So enamel is about 95% calcified. That's really hard. It's the hardest thing in your body, actually. And underneath that is a little something softer called dentin. And so again, you want to have that protective outer cap as resistant and as hard as possible. So using fluoride as an additive just strengthens that bond, and it makes it much less likely to have a cavity develop when exposed to acids. And that's ultimately what we're always talking about. It's always about chemistry here with the body. So again, acid base relationships, we talk about keeping your teeth clean to keep the bacteria off your teeth. And the reason for that is the bacteria create acids. And so the fluoride incorporated into that enamel of your teeth really is resistant to the acid and helps modify it to neutralize it to a degree. So again, really important that we get fluoride added in early on in our life. As an adult, it's more about topical use of it, meaning in your toothpaste, in rinses. As a dentist, I have various reasons why I would recommend fluoride for various patients. We have patients who have dry mouth from various reasons. A lot of that's pharmacological, that people have drier mouths nowadays because of the large number of medications that are taken to help with other ailments. Side issue can be dry mouth. So use of fluoridated toothpaste and enhancing that with a fluoride rinse at the end of the day can be really helpful in reducing cavities. In the end, it's always about cavity reduction. Cavity reduction is so important because we want to preserve teeth. We want to keep teeth. Teeth are so necessary as a part of life. It really helps with enjoyment. You want to enjoy your food. And especially as you get older, it's important that our geriatric population maintain their diets and their nutrition. And it all adds to that. So fluoride is a small part of what's involved with maintaining your teeth. And yet it has proven to be such a valuable resource for us to add and to consider using and adding to our daily regimen.
And the fluoride today that we use or have in our water supply, that doesn't cause spots on our teeth anymore. Is that right?
Everything is very highly regulated. All water systems maintain a 0.7 parts per million concentration for fluoride. That is universally accepted. The American Dental Association and the Center for Disease Control have reviewed this for really the past 80 years. There's a lot of research and science behind this to show that this is an effective concentration. It is reviewed. It has been reduced over the years, because we do have access to fluoride from other venues, like I mentioned, through toothpaste or rinses. And so being mindful of that, this is their corrected version, this 0.7 parts per million, to maintain the safety, the efficacy of using this on a more global scale. So again, I'd say 75% of Americans who have access to public water systems have fluoridated water. And this is a great coverage. We would like to see that more, of course, in the dental industry. We understand the benefits of this. Overall, studies show that there's a 25% reduction in tooth decay with simply adding fluoridation to water systems. This is the largest public health measure, I think, that's been undertaken, if you look at it the past 100 years, that has proven to be beneficial across the socioeconomic gambit of the population. So there's real research behind that to show the benefits of this. And I think it's a universally accepted good for the general population.
This is Upstate's The Informed Patient Podcast. I'm your host, Amber Smith. I'm talking with Dr. Patrick Smith, the Division Chief of Dental Surgery at Upstate, about fluoride. Now, can you as a dentist, when you examine someone, tell whether they've had access to fluoride by looking at their mouth?
There are reasons I could go both ways with this to say there are obvious questions that come up when we have new patients. One of the things I to check out is where they're from. And I like to know their municipality they're from, because it kind of tells me right away, do they have access to fluoride in the water, for example? For the most part, New York is well covered in that regard. Most municipal water systems here in central New York do have fluoridation already in the water system. So I know overall, even if you are on a well at home, generally your child goes to school and has a fluoridated water system. That said, do I ask the question? I still ask questions. Are we using rinses at home as well? And so there are some telltale signs of not using it. But again, when I see rampant decay in my pediatric population, that is, again, another question that I like to bring up. In this day and age of the popularity of filtered and bottled water, it's not surprising how little access to fluoridated water people get now, period. That is a reminder for those who may be concerned about the amount of fluoride in their water, is they can use filtered systems to remove the fluoride. Again, not what I advocate for, but for those in the population that want to limit or reduce their fluoride, they simply can use a charcoal filter system to remove the majority of the fluoride from that water. Again, bottled water typically does not have fluoride added to it. These are from either filtered systems or spring water systems, and these are known not to have fluoride. And really over the past decade, at least, or more, with the popularity of bottled water, we all do it. We all grab a bottle of water at the store, at the convenience of just having it on the run. Again, it doesn't give you that benefit of fluoride. So I think it's important to remember that depending on your location and the trust you have in the water systems, using filters has become very popular. And so again, it limits your access. And that's, again, important, more so, I think, for the pediatric population.
Are there downsides or negative side effects to be aware of with fluoride?
Those have been pretty limited. And again, the studies that have emerged over the years, there's a lot of positive studies that show the safety and efficacy of fluoride addition. I think the most notable side effects are going to be, of course, when you have access to too much. And that's going to be in a system where you have concerns about using an adult toothpaste in a pediatric world. You have to be very careful about making sure you're using infant or child appropriate toothpaste. You don't want your child, who does not know how to spit per se, to use adult toothpaste. You can ingest too much and have an upset stomach, is basically what the first signs are. You have GI upset from that. So of course, no parent wants that for their child. Higher concentrations are very difficult to obtain or ingest through normal mechanisms. Again, like any addition, this is a mineral, more or less. It's hard to find it in high doses outside the world of water systems or toothpaste or rinses. But again, at home, you just have to be mindful of access. You don't want to have your children have access to the fluoride rinses. You'll notice, if I mentioned by name, Act Fluoride, for example, has a dosing cup, and that's so that your child can't just pour it out. It has a squeeze cup, so they can only have the recommended dosage each time. Again, a lot of this is involving adult supervision. You have to make sure that your children are only exposed to what they need to be. And so there is some structure to that, and hopefully built in. But to answer your question on a larger scale or more global scale, really, it's hard to get exposed to high doses that would cause or impact you negatively. Most, if not all, studies have indicated that this is a safe mechanism to use to reduce caries, and that has a long-standing history of success.
So, what advice would you give to someone if they live in an area where the water supply is not fluoridated, but they want to make sure they protect their dental health? How else can they do that?
There are mechanisms to add fluoride back into your life if you are understanding the benefits of that for yourself, for your family. And the first really is to start with your pediatrician. There are readily available supplements that you can provide your children, just like their Flintstones vitamin. You can give them a fluoride supplement daily to help with the development of their new teeth. Very important. That is the most important time of their lives to develop strong teeth.
Are children recommended to use the rinses and the toothpaste that has fluoride in it?
It's again what you have access and exposure to. School systems still promote and provide some fluoride rinses. You have to check with the school. The school always checks with you as a parent first, make sure you approve, but that is still popular in a lot of school systems. Your dentist, again, so important to start early taking your child to the dentist. There's a lot of prevention that happens in those first visits. Not only just standard cleaning, but we oftentimes will recommend either a fluoride rinse or more popular now, again, through school systems, through your dental offices, are fluoride varnishes. This is a little more focused, concentrated version of a fluoride, and it is painted on the teeth. It's a little bit more direct. We get to the surfaces that we think are more prone to break down, to decay, and we try to enhance the absorption of some fluoride into the enamel through the use of a varnish. There's also fluoride added into what we call biomaterials, which is you need a filling. We have different fluoride applications that are incorporated into these filling materials now to decrease the chance for decay in that same area during the course of or the lifetime of that restoration. So there's a lot of research that's been happening and a lot of new materials that are being invented to help overall with the process of arresting decay and keeping people's teeth healthy and keeping them long term. The goal is to keep your teeth for life. We want to do everything we can to make sure that the teeth that you're born with are the teeth that you move into old life with. You want to enjoy your food. You want to have a good quality of life. And so this is one of those efforts.
Why is it so important to care about fluoride for baby teeth that are going to fall out anyway?
The first 12 years of our life involve the use of our deciduous teeth, or our baby teeth, as we refer to them. So in that regard, we want to make sure that they're strong and healthy, again, to promote being able to eat. That is the prime driver of being able to make sure that we're getting quality nutrition, and having a toothache or having a tooth abscess does not promote that. We can use fluoride to enhance the health of the teeth, to decrease the potential for caries. And ultimately, your baby teeth, as much as, yes, they are here to help eat, they're also what we call space savers. During the ages of 6 to 18, you also receive your adult teeth. We all have lost our baby teeth, understand the process of them systematically being lost. They save the space for your adult teeth to come in. So we like that to happen in a certain sequence. And if you have cavities early in life, it happens unfortunately every day where a pediatric patient has to have molars or front teeth removed due to decay, cavities, abscesses that form. And so we want to promote anything that will help preserve those teeth for the future. Loss of teeth early in life, it can be devastating for your children. Loss of front teeth, they have aesthetic concerns. Parents have aesthetic concerns about what that looks like. But it's also a functional issue. Loss of back teeth creates a lot of issues for consumption of what I might say are normal foods or high quality nutritional value foods. And again, anything that impacts that overall just impacts them systematically and creates the potential for harm.
Is the fluoride helping the teeth, the adult teeth that are buried below the gum line?
Yes, that is part of the process in getting incorporation of fluoride into these teeth early on. That is the premise behind fluoridated water, is that your body absorbs this preferentially into the matrix of the developing teeth. It is a whole process, and again, it has been well studied to show that the fluoride additive to that matrix creates a much harder surface. And so with that, when these teeth do erupt, they erupt already with the benefits of fluoride added to it. And so, again, we can't stress that enough about the importance of early exposure to fluoride.
Let me ask you to describe for us what happens to teeth that have not had exposure to fluoride since childhood. What is that person liable to deal with as they go through life?
Again, the issue socioeconomically is that various parts of the population have access to various types of food groups. You'll find a higher percentage of refined sugars, which become the issue when we have too much exposure. What is that today? That's sodas. I am still amazed at the large percentage of people that love sugared sodas. That's a lot of exposure. We find, again, a lot of refinement with desserts. It is a first world problem where we have consumption of just too many refined food products. And so that, along with just even regular, just simple carbohydrates, become sugars in the mouth. And of course, the bacteria in your mouth thrive in an environment where there's a high sugar basis. So with that, they create and metabolize that sugar and make acids. And that's fundamentally where the root cause is that when you don't remove this from your teeth through routine brushing, flossing, using a rinse, that you'll have very quickly breakdown. And our concern with this early in life with the pediatric population is teeth are small. They don't have a lot of buffer for this demineralization that happens. And so when you don't have that fluoride in there, it happens much more quickly. And so we want to try to intervene early from a dental perspective, have the patient come in, have them come in at 2 or 3 and have a couple cavities. Oh, I see some brown spots. That happens, unfortunately, very frequently where we come in and it's already kind of too late at that point for us to save more teeth. That's why we do recommend maybe when the first couple of teeth pop through, they may be 6 months old or 12 months old. I know that sounds early, but having them come in for some routine approach to care is normal. We want both parties to understand this is the best way to approach health with access to a dentist, access to a hygienist, simple routine exams, cleanings. We try to make it fun, try not to make it seem too overly medical. That is, I think, one thing that the dental arena does well is to make you comfortable in the office, understand that we are there for your benefit, to make you healthy, to make sure you're comfortable, and to give you options and advice that fit your needs and your family's needs. And so I think that's really to establish that relationship early on. One of the closest relationships you'll have with the medical providers, with your dentist. There's a lot of discussions on maintaining oral health, and there is so much out there available to the population to access to make their life better simply by keeping their oral health clean and optimal.
That's good to know. Well, I appreciate you making time for this interview, Dr. Smith.
Pleasure to be here. Always like discussing what the world of dentistry has to offer.
My guest has been Dr. Patrick Smith, the Division Chief of Dental Surgery at Upstate. The Informed Patient is a podcast covering health, science, and medicine, brought to you by Upstate Medical University in Syracuse, New York, and produced by Jim Howe, with sound engineering by Bill Brokel and graphic design by Dan Cameron. Find our archive of previous episodes at upstate.edu/informed. If you enjoyed this episode, please invite a friend to listen. You can also rate and review the Informed Patient podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you tune in. This is your host, Amber Smith, thanking you for listening.